The Morning Star drifted through the outer reaches, its cargo hold filled with medical supplies and farming equipment. Captain Min-jun Park sat in his chair on the small bridge, watching the stars slide past the view screen. He had made this run 100 times before. The route was safe, the space was neutral, and the pay was good enough to support his crew of 47 souls. "Captain, we have company," Navigator Haewon Lee said from her station. Her fingers moved across the console, pulling up scanner data. 3 ships, big ones. They just dropped out of faster-than-light travel. Min-jun leaned forward. 3 ships was unusual. This sector saw maybe 1 vessel per week. "Can you identify them?" "Checking the database now." Haewon's face grew concerned. "They are Zeltharian military cruisers. Heavy weapons. They are moving toward us fast." Engineer Ji-woo Kim looked up from his station at the back of the bridge. "Zeltharians? I thought they stayed in their own space." "They usually do," Min-jun said. He opened the communication channel. "This is Captain Min-jun Park of the merchant vessel, Morning Star. We are on a peaceful trade mission. How can we help you today?" Static crackled through the speakers. Then a harsh voice responded in barely understandable galactic common. "Human vessel. You are in Zeltharian space now. Stop your engines. Prepare to surrender your ship and cargo." Min-jun exchanged glances with his crew. "I apologize, but our star charts show this as neutral space. There must be some mistake. We would be happy to change our course if needed." The Zeltharian ships came closer, forming a triangle around the Morning Star. Their weapon systems powered up, sending warning signals across every scanner on the bridge. "There is no mistake," the harsh voice said. "This space belongs to the Zeltharian Empire. All human property in our space belongs to us. You have 1 minute to abandon your ship." Ji-woo stood up from his station. "Captain, we have families on board, 15 children. They cannot abandon ship safely in 1 minute." Min-jun's hand hovered over the controls. He knew what was happening. The Zeltharians were expanding their territory, and they had chosen the Morning Star as their first target. They probably thought a merchant ship would be easy prey. "Please," Min-jun said into the communication channel, "we have civilians aboard, women and children. Give us time to evacuate safely. You can have the ship and cargo. Just let my people live." Silence filled the bridge. The Zeltharian ships moved even closer. Min-jun could see their weapons charging to full power through the scanner readings. "Your weakness disgusts us," the Zeltharian commander finally said. "You beg like frightened animals. The Zeltharian Empire does not negotiate with prey." The first blast hit the Morning Star from behind. The ship shook violently. Alarms screamed through every corridor. Min-jun grabbed his console to stay standing. "Shields at 40%, Haewon shouted. "We cannot take many more hits like that." "Send a distress signal," Min-jun ordered. "Emergency frequency. Send our position and what is happening." Ji-woo's fingers flew across his controls. "Distress beacon is active. It is broadcasting everything." Another blast struck the ship. This time the lights flickered. Somewhere below the bridge, people were screaming. Min-jun could hear the fear in their voices, could imagine the children crying for their parents. "Shields at 15%, Haewon said. Her voice stayed calm even though her hands were shaking. "Captain, I am sorry." Min-jun looked at his crew. These people trusted him to keep them safe. He had failed them. The Zeltharians had given them no chance, no choice, no mercy. "It is not your fault," he said quietly. "None of this is your fault." The third blast tore through the shields and ripped into the hull. The Morning Star broke apart in a flash of light and fire. The distress beacon kept broadcasting for 3 more seconds before it too went silent. On the bridge of the lead Zeltharian cruiser, Admiral Threxcall watched the debris scatter into space. His scales rippled with satisfaction. The human ship had been weak, just as intelligence reports suggested. The humans had begged. They had offered surrender. They had shown fear. "Record this victory," Threxcal ordered his crew. "The Zeltharian Empire has claimed new territory. The human species has proven itself unworthy of respect." His second officer approached. "Admiral, the human distress signal was broadcasting. Other humans may have received it." Threxcal laughed, a sound like grinding stones. "Let them receive it. Let them know that their ships are now targets. Let them know that the Zeltharian Empire takes what it wants." He turned to face his crew. "We have been too cautious for too long. The galaxy is filled with weak species who hide behind trade agreements and peace treaties. It is time for the strong to rule." His crew cheered. They believed him. They believed that destroying one merchant ship made them powerful. "Set course for the next human outpost," Threxcal commanded. "We will teach these soft creatures to fear us." The three Zeltharian ships engaged their faster-than-light drives and disappeared into the darkness of space. Behind them, the wreckage of the Morning Star continued to tumble through the void. Small pieces of metal caught the light of distant stars. A child's toy floated past a broken navigation console. A family photo drifted beside a shattered engine part. And still, hidden in the debris, the distress beacon's backup system activated. It was small, designed to survive catastrophic damage. Its signal was weak but clear. It broadcast everything that had happened. Every word spoken. Every shot fired. Every life lost. The signal traveled through space at the speed of light. It would take time to reach the nearest human stations, but it would reach them. The message was simple and terrible. 47 humans had died today. They had been murdered without warning, without cause, without mercy. They had asked for peace and been answered with violence. They had begged for the lives of children and been given only death. The signal carried one more piece of information: the identity of the killers. The Zeltharian Empire had just made the worst mistake in their species' history. They had started a war with humanity. Ambassador Seo-Yun Choi was reviewing trade agreements when the emergency signal reached the Galactic Council station. Her assistant burst into her office without knocking, his face pale. "Ambassador, you need to see this immediately." Seo-Yun looked up from her datapad. She had been Earth's representative to the Council for 5 years. She knew what an emergency looked like. "Show me." The holographic display activated in the center of her office. The distress signal from the Morning Star played from beginning to end. Seo-Yun watched Captain Min-Jun Park try to reason with his killers. She listened to him beg for the lives of children. She saw the ship break apart. When the recording ended, Seo-Yun sat in silence for a long moment. Then she stood up and straightened her diplomatic robes. "Contact the Zeltharian ambassador. Request an immediate meeting with the full Galactic Council. This begins now." 3 hours later, Seo-Yun stood in the great circular chamber of the Galactic Council. Representatives from 200 species watched from their seats. At the center of the room, the Zeltharian ambassador stood with his security guards. His name was Krelvik, and he looked annoyed to be summoned. "The human ambassador has requested this emergency session," the council speaker announced. "Ambassador Choi, you may present your case." Seo-Yun activated the holographic projector. The recording of the Morning Star's destruction played for everyone to see. The chamber fell silent. When it ended, Seo-Yun spoke in a calm, clear voice. 47 human civilians were murdered 3 days ago. They were killed without warning in neutral space. They offered no threat. They asked only for mercy." She turned to face Krelvik. "The Zeltharian Empire is responsible. I formally demand accountability and justice." Krelvik laughed. It was a cruel sound that echoed through the chamber. "Accountability? Your merchants wandered into our space. They refused to surrender their ship. What happened was their own fault. The space was neutral. Seo Yun said. Every chart confirms this. Space belongs to whoever can claim it, Krelvik replied. He looked around at the other council members. My people are tired of hiding behind old treaties. We are a warrior race. The strong should rule, not the weak. He pointed at Seo Yun. Your people are merchants and diplomats. You are soft. You should learn your place. Whispers filled the chamber. Some of the council members looked uncomfortable. Others looked frightened. A few species had dealt with Zeltharian aggression before. Seo Yun kept her expression neutral. I ask one more time. Will the Zeltharian Empire take responsibility for these deaths? No, Krelvik said flatly. And if more human ships enter our territory, they will face the same fate. This is our final word. Seo Yun nodded slowly. She looked up at the ancient council speaker, a being who had served for 300 years. Then humanity has nothing more to say to the Zeltharian Empire. We will handle this matter ourselves. She walked out of the chamber without another word. As the doors closed behind her, the whispers in the council chamber grew louder. One of the oldest council members, a crystalline being named Vexulan, spoke into the uncomfortable silence. The Zeltharians have made a terrible mistake. Krelvik turned to face Vexulan. Are you threatening us, Old Crystal? No, Vexulan said quietly. I am simply stating a fact. You should have accepted the human offer of peace. Krelvik laughed again and left the chamber with his guards. He thought he had won. He thought the humans were weak and would do nothing. Far from the council station on Earth, another meeting was taking place. This one had no cameras, no recordings, no observers. Admiral Young-Ho Han sat at a conference table with the leaders of Earth's defense coalition. The recording from the Morning Star had already played 3 times. The diplomatic option failed, one of the military leaders said. Ambassador Choi tried. They refused to negotiate. Young-Ho stared at the frozen image of the Morning Star's final moments. He had served in the Defense Coalition for 30 years. He had fought in training exercises, managed peacekeeping missions, and prayed he would never need to use his real training. The training that every human military officer received. The training based on 10,000 years of human history. What are your orders, Admiral? Another officer asked. Young-Ho closed his eyes. He thought about Captain Min-Jun Park. He thought about the 15 children who died on that ship. He thought about the Zeltharian ambassador laughing at the council. Deploy the reconnaissance fleet, he said quietly. I want complete intelligence on every Zeltharian military installation, every ship, every weapon platform, every communication relay. I want to know where their leaders sleep at night. Time frame? 72 hours. We move fast and silent. The officer nodded and left to begin preparations. Another leader leaned forward. Admiral, once we start this, the galaxy will see what we really are. They will know the truth about humanity. Young-Ho opened his eyes. They will learn eventually. Better they learn from us than from our enemies. He stood up. The Zeltharians killed 47 of our people. They laughed about it. They promised to do it again. His voice hardened. We tried peace. We offered mercy. They chose war. Now they will learn what that means. 2 days later, Zeltharian forces attacked a human trading post near their border. The station had 12 defenders and 300 civilians. The Zeltharians destroyed it completely. They broadcast the attack on their government channels, celebrating their power and strength. Admiral Threxkal, who had destroyed the Morning Star, led the attack personally. He sent a message to all nearby space. The Zeltharian Empire claims this sector. Any humans found here will be eliminated. This is our galaxy now. His second officer approached him after the attack. Admiral, our scouts report unusual activity near our border. Ships we cannot identify. They appear and disappear before we can track them. Threxkal dismissed the concern with a wave of his clawed hand. Probably merchants fleeing. Let them run. Let them tell others to fear us. Should we increase patrols? No, we press forward. The humans have shown they will not fight back. We take 3 more systems by the end of the week. The second officer wanted to argue but stayed silent. He had seen the classified reports. Some of the Zeltharian High Command had reviewed human history files before the attacks began. Those files were marked with warnings, but Threxcal had ignored the warnings. He believed the humans were weak because they chose peace. On the edge of Zeltharian space, Admiral Young-Ho Han stood on the bridge of the human flagship. Around him, 50 warships waited in perfect formation. They were invisible to Zeltharian scanners, hidden by technology the galaxy had never seen before. "Sir, reconnaissance is complete," his tactical officer reported. "We have full intelligence on all Zeltharian military assets." "Civilian population centers?" "Marked and protected in our targeting systems. Weapons will not fire on civilian targets under any circumstances." Young-Ho looked at the holographic display showing Zeltharian space. He could see their military stations, their patrol routes, their communication networks. They had no idea humans were watching. They had no idea what was coming. "Send one message to the Zeltharian High Command," Young-Ho said. "Just 4 words." "What should it say, sir?" Young-Ho's expression remained cold and calm. "You were warned." The message transmitted. 30 seconds later, the human fleet moved forward. The war had begun. The first Zeltharian military station exploded at exactly 0600 hours. The second station followed 30 seconds later. The third went dark 90 seconds after that. By the time Admiral Threxcal received the emergency alerts, he had already lost 3 major defensive positions and 200 ships. "What is happening?" he roared at his crew. "Who is attacking us?" "Unknown vessels, sir," his sensor officer reported. His voice shook with confusion. "They appeared without warning. Our shields did nothing. They are hitting us with weapons we have never seen before." Threxcal pulled up the tactical display. Red markers showed human ships throughout Zeltharian space. Not just near the border, everywhere, deep in their territory, around their homeworld. It was impossible. "How did they get past our defenses?" "We do not know, sir. They were just suddenly there." Another alert flashed across the screen. A supply depot destroyed. A communication hub offline. A weapons platform disabled. The humans were not attacking randomly. They were hitting specific targets with perfect precision. "Return fire," Threxcal ordered. "All ships, engage the human vessels." The Zeltharian fleet moved to intercept. They had superior numbers. Their ships were larger. Their weapons had served them well in a dozen conflicts with smaller species. They expected an easy fight. They were wrong. The human ships moved like nothing the Zeltharians had ever encountered. They anticipated every attack. They dodged weapons fire that should have been impossible to avoid. When they struck back, their weapons cut through Zeltharian shields like they were not even there. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Young-Ho Han watched the battle unfold. His tactical officer provided constant updates. "Enemy fleet trying to form defensive positions. They are using standard Zeltharian battle formation 7. Counter with pattern Delta 3, Young-Ho ordered calmly. "Target their command ship's communication array first. I want them blind before we disable their weapons." "Yes, sir." The human ships adjusted their attack pattern. Within minutes, the Zeltharian command ship lost all communication with its fleet. The other Zeltharian vessels tried to coordinate, but without their command structure, they fell into chaos. Young-Ho watched without emotion. This was not his first battle. It was not even his first real battle. He had studied warfare his entire life. Every human military officer did. They learned from 10,000 years of human history, 10,000 years of humans fighting humans. They had perfected the art of war against the most dangerous enemy imaginable, themselves. "Sir, Enemy ships are attempting to retreat, the tactical officer reported. Let them go, Young-ho said. We are not here to destroy their military. We are here to remove their ability to threaten civilians. He highlighted several targets on his display. These installations, these weapons platforms, these command centers, surgical strikes, minimum casualties. Make them understand they cannot win, but leave them a path to surrender. Back on the Galactic Council station, an emergency session had been called. Ambassador Seo-Yun Choi stood in the center of the chamber, while council members shouted questions at her. How did human ships penetrate so deep into Zeltharian space? Why were we not informed of human military capabilities? What are human intentions in this conflict? Seo-Yun waited for the noise to quiet down. When she spoke, her voice carried across the chamber. Humanity presented evidence of Zeltharian war crimes to this council. We asked for justice. We were refused. We were mocked. The Zeltharians promised to kill more of our people. She looked around at the assembled representatives. We will defend ourselves. Nothing more. Nothing less. The Zeltharian ambassador, Krelvik, pushed forward. His scales were pale with fear. Your military is attacking our homeworld. This is genocide. No, Seo-Yun said firmly. Our military is attacking your military. We have not touched a single civilian target. We will not. You cannot defeat us. We are a warrior race. Before Seo-Yun could respond, old Vexulan spoke from his seat. His crystalline form pulsed with light. The time for truth has come. This council must understand what is happening. He activated a holographic display in the center of the chamber. Ancient files appeared, marked with warnings in a dozen languages. Files that had been sealed for 50 years. When humanity first joined the Galactic Council, they submitted their complete history for review, Vexulan explained. I was one of 3 beings who read the entire file. What I learned terrified me. The display showed images from human history. Wars, weapons, destruction on a scale the galaxy had never seen. Humanity spent 10,000 years perfecting the art of war, Vexulan continued. Not against aliens, against themselves. Every weapon they created, they used on each other first. Every tactic they developed, they tested on their own kind. They fought wars that killed millions. They built weapons that could destroy their entire planet. The council chamber fell silent. Species who thought they understood humanity stared at the display in horror. And then, Vexulan said quietly, they stopped. They decided together to end their wars, to seek peace, to join the galactic community not as conquerors, but as friends. He turned his crystalline eyes to Krelvik. The Zeltharians saw this peaceful behavior and thought it meant weakness. They were wrong. Humanity is not peaceful because they cannot fight. They are peaceful because they choose not to. Another council member spoke up. But if they are so dangerous, why did we allow them to join? Because they came in peace, Vexulan said. Because they were honest about their history. Because they asked us to help them stay peaceful. His light dimmed. And because I believed that any species capable of such violence who chooses peace instead deserves a chance. Ambassador Seo-Yun stepped forward. My people do not want this war. We want only justice for those who were murdered. If the Zeltharian Empire surrenders and makes reparations, we will stop immediately. Krelvik looked at the images still playing on the holographic display. He saw human weapons that made Zeltharian technology look primitive. He saw human tactics that turned entire planets into battlefields. He saw the truth. You have been hiding your true nature, he said weakly. No, Seo-Yun replied. We have been controlling it. There is a difference. She looked at him with something like pity. We tried to warn you. We offered you peace. You called us weak and killed our families. Her expression hardened. Now, you will learn the price of that mistake. In space above the Zeltharian homeworld, Admiral Young-Ho Han received a new communication. The Zeltharian military was preparing a last desperate attack. They were moving their entire remaining fleet to protect their planet. "Sir, the enemy is massing all forces for one final push," his tactical officer said. "They outnumber us 3-1. Young-Ho studied the display. The Zeltharians were forming up in a traditional defensive sphere around their world. It was a good formation. It had probably won them many battles against lesser enemies. "They still do not understand," Young-Ho said softly. "They still think this is about numbers and firepower." He turned to his communications officer. "Send a message to the Zeltharian fleet. Tell them to stand down. Tell them their civilians are not in danger. Tell them they can end this without more death." The message transmitted. For a long moment, nothing happened. Then the Zeltharian fleet charged forward, weapons blazing. Young-Ho sighed. "All ships, defensive pattern Omega. Disable their vessels. Target engines and weapons only. No kill shots unless absolutely necessary." "Sir, that will take longer than just destroying them." "I know," Young-Ho said. "But we are not here to prove we can kill them. We are here to prove we can stop them without killing them. That is what will truly terrify them." The battle lasted 6 hours. When it ended, 2/3 of the Zeltharian fleet floated dead in space. Not destroyed. Disabled. Every ship had its weapons gone, its engines dead, its systems offline. But the crews were alive. Trapped. Defeated. Humiliated, but alive. Young-Ho looked at the disabled ships and felt no satisfaction, only sadness. "Send rescue vessels to all disabled Zeltharian ships," he ordered. "Anyone who needs medical help gets it. Anyone who wants to surrender is taken aboard safely." His second officer looked confused. "Sir, they tried to kill us." "I know," Young-Ho said, "but we are not them. We are better than that. We have to be." He turned away from the display. "Send a message to the Zeltharian leadership. Tell them this war can end today. All they have to do is ask." Emperor Krath-Zul of the Zeltharian Empire sat on his throne and watched his empire fall apart. Reports came in every hour. Another fleet disabled, another station captured, another system lost. The humans were everywhere, moving through Zeltharian space like ghosts. "Your Majesty, we must sue for peace," his chief advisor urged. "We cannot win this war." Krath-Zul slammed his clawed fist on the armrest. "We are warriors. We do not surrender to merchants." "They are not merchants, Majesty. They are soldiers. Better soldiers than we have ever faced." Krath-Zul stood and paced across the throne room. His scales, once bright with pride, had dulled with stress and lack of sleep. "What do the reports say about their tactics?" His military commander stepped forward, holding a datapad. "They fight unlike anything we have studied, Majesty. They adapt to our strategies within minutes. When we change our formations, they counter immediately. It is as if they can predict our every move. How is that possible? We believe they have studied warfare more deeply than any species in the galaxy. They seem to know our tactics before we use them." The commander hesitated. "Majesty, there is something else. They are rescuing our soldiers. Every disabled ship, every captured station. They provide medical care. They treat prisoners with respect. They have not harmed a single civilian." "So they are soft after all," Krath-Zul said with triumph in his voice. "No, Majesty." The commander looked at his emperor with sad eyes. "They are showing us they could kill us all, but choose not to. That is not softness. That is power." Krath-Zul returned to his throne. His empire was crumbling, but his pride remained. "Activate the World Breaker." Silence filled the throne room. His advisors stared at him in shock. "Majesty, the World Breaker is forbidden by galactic law," his chief advisor said carefully. "It is a planet-killer weapon. If we use it, every species in the galaxy will turn against us." We are already losing, Krathzul shouted. The humans have one major colony world in the border region. We destroy that, and they will know we are still dangerous. They will negotiate from fear. Majesty, there are 3 million humans on that colony. Civilians, families, children. They should have thought of that before attacking us. Krathzul turned to his military commander. How long to charge the World Breaker? 12 hours, Majesty. But I must protest this order. This is not the way of warriors. This is the way of murderers. You are dismissed from service, Krathzul said coldly. Someone more loyal will follow my orders. The old commander bowed and left the throne room. As he walked through the palace corridors, he pulled out a secure communication device. He had served the Zeltharian Empire his entire life. He had fought in 24 wars, but he would not be part of genocide. He sent a single encrypted message to the human fleet. Then he waited. On the bridge of his flagship, Admiral Young Ho Han received the message. He read it twice to make sure he understood. Then he looked at his tactical officer. Can we stop it? The World Breaker is in deep space, heavily shielded, but we have its exact coordinates thanks to this message. If we move now, we can reach it before the weapon charges to full power. How long do we have? 11 hours and 40 minutes. Young Ho calculated quickly. It would be tight. Very tight. Send Lieutenant Hyunwoo Kang and his team. Best pilots we have. They need to board that station and disable the weapon before it fires. Sir, that is a suicide mission. The station will be heavily defended. Then we better make sure they have everything they need to survive. Young Ho activated the ship-wide communication. Lieutenant Kang, report to the bridge immediately. Lieutenant Hyunwoo Kang was young, only 26 years old, but he had trained his entire life for missions like this. When Young Ho explained the situation, Hyunwoo did not hesitate. I will need 12 people, sir. Specialists Da Yun Song for hacking their systems. Weapons expert Min Seo Cho, medical officer Young Soo Park in case we have wounded, and 9 more of our best. You have them. What else? Stealth insertion ship, cutting tools, non-lethal weapons if possible. Young Ho looked at the young officer with respect. Non-lethal. You might face 200 enemy soldiers. Sir, this message came from a Zeltharian officer who refused to follow an evil order. That means not all of them are our enemies. I would like to avoid killing anyone who might be forced to fight us. You have a good heart, Lieutenant. I hope it does not get you killed. Young Ho gestured to his tactical officer. Give him everything he asks for. 8 hours later, Hyunwoo and his team approached the Worldbreaker station in a small stealth ship. The station was massive, designed to generate enough power to destroy an entire planet. Zeltharian patrol ships circled it like guards. Specialist Song, can you get us past their sensors? Hyunwoo asked. Da-Un Song's fingers moved across her console. She was the best hacker in the fleet, recruited specifically for her ability to break any system. Working on it. Their security is good, but they use predictable patterns. Give me 2 minutes. The team waited in silence. Every second brought the Worldbreaker closer to full charge. Finally, Da-Un smiled. We are invisible, taking us in. The stealth ship docked with the station through a maintenance port. Hyunwoo's team moved quickly through the corridors. They encountered their first Zeltharian guards within minutes. Surrender your weapons, Hyunwoo said in their language. We do not want to hurt you. But we will stop you, if we must. The guards charged instead. Hyunwoo's team used stun weapons, dropping the guards without killing them. They tied them up and left them in a secure room before moving on. The station's crew began to realize they had intruders. Alarms rang through the corridors. More guards appeared. Hyunwoo's team fought through them, always using non-lethal force, always trying to minimize casualties. They reached the central control room with 30 minutes to spare. The Worldbreaker was almost fully charged. Inside the room, 20 Zeltharian technicians worked at their stations. They turned when Hyunwoo's team burst in. "Step away from the controls," Hyunwoo ordered. The lead technician, an older Zeltharian female, shook her head. "We cannot. The Emperor has ordered this. If we disobey, our families will be executed." Hyunwoo lowered his weapon. "Then we will protect your families too. Help us stop this weapon." "You would protect Zeltharian civilians? After what we have done to your people?" "Yes," Hyunwoo said simply, "because it is the right thing to do." The technician looked at her crew. They were engineers, not warriors. They did not want to destroy a planet full of innocent people. Slowly she nodded. "Tell us what you need." Da-Yun Song moved to the main console. With the technician's help, she began shutting down the World Breaker's charging sequence. It was delicate work. One mistake could cause the weapon to fire or explode. Outside the station, Admiral Young-Ho Han watched his tactical display. The World Breaker's power readings were dropping. The weapon was being disabled from the inside. "Sir, Zeltharian reinforcements are approaching the station," his sensor officer reported. "Heavy cruisers. They will reach Lieutenant Kang's position in 10 minutes. Young-Ho made a decision. "Move the fleet to intercept. The lieutenant and his team are not dying today." The human fleet engaged the Zeltharian reinforcements. It was a short battle. The Zeltharians were outnumbered and outmatched. They retreated quickly. Inside the station, the World Breaker finally powered down completely. The weapon was dead. Da-Yun Song erased its firing codes from the system, making sure it could never be used again. Hyunwoo turned to the Zeltharian technicians. "Come with us. We will evacuate you before we destroy this station." "You would rescue us?" the lead technician asked. "Why?" "Because this war is not your fault," Hyunwoo said. "You were just following orders. We understand the difference between soldiers and murderers." The team evacuated all the technicians and crew from the station. As they left, Da-Yun Song triggered demolition charges. The World Breaker exploded in a brilliant flash of light. The planet killer was gone forever. On his throne, Emperor Krathzul watched the destruction of his ultimate weapon. His last hope of victory had just died. Around him, his advisors whispered urgently. The military was in chaos. The people were frightened. His own government was turning against him. The old military commander he had dismissed entered the throne room. He was not alone. Behind him walked a dozen high-ranking officers, all armed. "Krathzul," the commander said, no longer using the title of Majesty, "you have led our empire to ruin. You have dishonored our warrior traditions. You have tried to murder children. You are no longer fit to lead." Krathzul stood, but there was nowhere to run. "You dare commit treason?" "No," the commander said sadly. "I am trying to save what is left of our people. The humans could have destroyed us. They chose mercy. The least we can do is choose wisdom." He gestured to his officers. "Take him into custody. Prepare a message to the human fleet. Tell them we wish to discuss surrender." The message from the Zeltharian military reached Admiral Young-Ho Han at dawn. He read it carefully, then read it again. After 3 weeks of war, the Zeltharians wanted to surrender. "Sir, how should we respond?" his communications officer asked. Young-Ho thought about Captain Min-Jun Park and the 47 people who died on the Morning Star. He thought about the 300 civilians killed at the trading post. He thought about every life lost because one species thought peace was weakness. "Tell them we accept their request for negotiations," he said quietly. "Ambassador Choi will handle the terms. We are soldiers, not diplomats." 2 days later, Ambassador Seo-Yoon Choi stood in a neutral meeting room on the Galactic Council station. Across from her sat the new Zeltharian leadership. The old commander who had helped stop the World Breaker represented their military. A civilian administrator named Velthira represented their government. Emperor Krath-Zul was gone, arrested and awaiting trial by his own people. "Thank you for agreeing to meet with us," Velthira said. Her scales were dull with shame. "We know we do not deserve your mercy." Seo Yun sat down across from them. She carried a data pad with humanity's demands. "Before we discuss terms, I want you to understand something. My people did not want this war. We came to this galaxy seeking peace and friendship. You forced us to remember what we used to be." "We have seen your military files," the old commander said. "We understand now. Your species spent thousands of years fighting yourselves. You learned war from the most dangerous enemy possible." "Yes, and we learned something else." Seo Yun looked at both of them directly. "We learned that war does not have to mean annihilation. We learned that defeating an enemy does not mean destroying them. We learned that true strength is knowing when to stop." She activated the data pad and displayed humanity's terms. First, the Zeltharian Empire will make full financial reparations to the families of every person killed. The amount will be determined by an independent tribunal. Velthira nodded. "Agreed. We will pay whatever is required." Second, the Zeltharian Empire will publicly acknowledge responsibility for starting this war. Your people will know the truth about what happened. "Agreed," the commander said. "Our people deserve honesty." Third, the Zeltharian Empire will reduce its military to defensive purposes only. Your warships will be monitored by the Galactic Council. Any aggressive expansion will be met with immediate response. This term made them hesitate. The commander spoke carefully. "That will leave us vulnerable to other species who might attack." "No," Seo Yun said. "It will leave you vulnerable only if you are alone. Humanity is prepared to offer you a defense treaty. If any species attacks Zeltharia unprovoked, we will defend you." Silence filled the room. Velthira stared at Seo Yun in disbelief. "You would protect us? After everything we have done?" "Yes, because this war is over, because revenge is not justice, because we would rather have a former enemy become a friend than create a permanent wound that never heals." The old commander's eyes glistened. In Zeltharian culture, warriors did not cry, but he came close. "Humanity is truly the strangest species in the galaxy. You could have taken everything from us, our worlds, our resources, our freedom. Instead, you offer us protection." "We do not want your worlds," Seo Yun said. "We want this war to end and never happen again. Do you accept these terms?" "Yes," Velthira said. "On behalf of the Zeltharian people, we accept." The treaty was signed that day. News spread across the galaxy within hours. The war that everyone feared would destroy entire star systems had ended with minimal casualties and no occupied territory. Humanity had proven itself the most powerful military force in known space, and then immediately offered peace. 1 week later, the Galactic Council held a special session. Every species attended. Ambassador Seo Yun Choi stood in the center of the chamber, waiting to speak. Old Vexulan called for silence. "We are here to formally close the war records and discuss what the galaxy has learned. Ambassador Choi, you may speak." Seo Yun looked around at the assembled representatives. Some looked at her with fear, others with respect, a few with gratitude. 3 weeks ago, 47 humans died. The Zeltharian Empire killed them because they thought humans were weak. They thought our peace meant we could not fight. She paused. They were wrong, but they were also not entirely to blame. We never told you the truth about humanity. We thought if we just lived peacefully, our past would not matter. She activated a holographic display showing images from the war. Disabled Zeltharian ships, rescued crew members, medical stations treating both human and Zeltharian wounded. This is what humanity really is. We know how to fight. We know how to destroy. We spent 10,000 years learning every terrible lesson about war. But we also learned when to stop. We learned that true victory is not about crushing your enemy. It is about turning them into someone who will never be your enemy again. A young council member from a small species raised their hand. Ambassador, are humans still dangerous? Before Seo Yun could answer, Vexulan spoke. His crystalline form pulsed with light. I will answer that. Yes, humans are dangerous. More dangerous than any species in this galaxy, but not because of their weapons or their tactics. He paused. They are dangerous because they have power and choose not to use it. They are dangerous because they can destroy you, but will save you instead. They are dangerous because they make other species want to be better. The Zeltharian representatives sat in the chamber, no longer as ambassadors of an empire, but as guests seeking membership in the galactic community. The old commander stood and spoke. My people made a terrible mistake. We saw kindness and thought it was weakness. We saw peace and thought it was fear. Humanity showed us the truth. Real strength is choosing not to hurt when you can. Real courage is offering mercy when you want revenge. He looked at Seo Yun with deep respect. We thought humans were prey. We learned they are the most dangerous predators in the galaxy. Dangerous because they hunt only when they must, and stop the moment they can. In the weeks that followed, the galaxy changed. Species that had been preparing for war suddenly reconsidered. Aggressive empires looked at what happened to the Zeltharians and decided peace was preferable. The Galactic Council saw fewer conflicts than any time in recorded history. On Earth, a memorial was built for those who died on the Morning Star and at the trading post. It was a simple structure, just a wall with names and a message. They chose peace. We fought for justice. May we always know the difference. Admiral Young Ho Han attended the memorial dedication. He stood in front of Captain Min Jun Park's name for a long time. He had won the war. He had defeated the enemy. But he felt no pride, only sadness that the war had been necessary at all. Ambassador Seo Yun Choi found him there. Admiral, the council wants to give you a medal for your service. Young Ho shook his head. I do not want a medal for killing even if it was necessary. It is not for killing. It is for restraint, for showing the galaxy that humanity can be trusted with power. Can we? Young Ho asked quietly. Trust ourselves? I think so, Seo Yun said. We were tested. We could have destroyed the Zeltharians. We chose not to. That means something. Far from Earth, on the Zeltharian homeworld, something remarkable was happening. The old commander had been elected as the new leader of their government. His first act was to establish a cultural exchange program with humanity. The second act was to add a new holiday to the Zeltharian calendar. A day of remembrance for those who died in the war, both Zeltharian and human. 1 year after the war ended, a new ship launched from a human shipyard. It was a merchant vessel, designed for peaceful trade. The crew was mixed, both human and Zeltharian working together. They named the ship Morning Star II. Captain Jiwoo Kim, who had survived the destruction of the original Morning Star. Because he was on leave that day, stood on the bridge of the new vessel. His crew included 2 Zeltharians who had served in their military during the war. They had asked to serve on the ship as a way of honoring those who died. Captain, we are ready for departure, the navigator said. She was Zeltharian, young and eager to prove herself. Jiwoo looked at his mixed crew and felt something like hope. Then let us go. The galaxy is waiting. The Morning Star II launched into space, carrying cargo and crew from 2 species that had been enemies. Now they were something else, not quite friends yet, but working toward it. On the Galactic Council station, Ambassador Seo Yun Choi stood with the old crystalline being Vexulan. They watched the ship launch on a view screen. Do you think they will truly change? Seo Yun asked. The Zeltharians, I mean. Yes, Vexulan said, because you gave them a reason to. You showed them that mercy is not weakness, that peace is not surrender, that strength is knowing when not to fight. His light pulsed softly. You taught them the most important lesson any species can learn. What lesson is that? That the deadliest creatures in the galaxy are deadly, not because they can destroy you, but because they can choose not to. Power without restraint is just violence. Power with restraint is what changes the universe. Seo Yun watched the morning star 2 disappear into the stars. She thought about Captain Min Jun Park and all those who died. She thought about Admiral Young Ho Han and all those who fought. She thought about the future her species was building, one where their terrible history of war became a foundation for a lasting peace. We are not perfect, she said quietly. No species is, Vexulan replied. But you are trying. You chose to be better. That is all anyone can ask. The Morning Star traveled through space, its human and Zeltharian crew working side by side. Behind them, two civilizations that had been at war were learning to live in peace. Ahead of them, a galaxy watched and learned from their example. And somewhere in the darkness between stars, other aggressive species reconsidered their plans for expansion, because they had learned the most important lesson about humanity. The deadliest creatures the galaxy had ever known were deadly because they chose not to be. And that made them more terrifying than any weapon could ever be.